Good evening. Welcome to Mystic Matters. We are the Greater Mystic Chamber of Commerce. So pleased to be here tonight. I'm Kristin Hartnett from the Greater Mystic Chamber of Commerce. And tonight we are celebrating the 60th anniversary of the Mystic Outdoor Art Festival. That's right, I said 60 years. Some of you are watching and saying, can it really be that long that I've been going to this thing? It's true. Save the date, August 12th and 13th. It is going to be a beautiful weekend. We got a special grant from the state that says that in fact it'll be perfect weather. And you can erase my name from that, Frank, in case it turns out not true. Anyway, Susette won't be here tonight. She sends her regrets, but she'll be here in a couple of weeks. Well-deserved rest for Susette Tibus, who's been hosting the show for, I think, about 20 years. And she's now looking, saying, I can't believe, has it really been that long? It's true. And I've been co-hosting for about a year and a half, so pleased to do it. I do want to invite you to come to the Mystic Outdoor Art Festival, visit us at the Information Center. We have some hats and some bags that we've made just for you, some Mystic souvenirs. And the Mystic Outdoor Art Festival is one of our best events, not only for the Mystic Chamber of Commerce, but for the community of Mystic. And one of the reasons is because it is so beautiful here. We have so many artists that take advantage of the light and the scenery. And we are privileged to have 3 of those artists here with us this evening. So I would like to introduce Russ Kramer. Hello, Russ.
Hello.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Susan Noyes. And Brett Swanson.
Hello.
Now, we know all these folks from Downtown Mystic and from around town. Susan and Brett have been on the show before.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And they've also been in the Mystic Outdoor Art Festival for how many years, you guys?
I think, for me, 5.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I think this is my 11th or 12th.
All right.
Yep.
And Russ Kramer, it is his premiere year.
That's right, my first year. Thank you. I'm excited about it.
Now, Russ is no stranger to the Mystic area, and he is not a suddenly discovered artist in the area as well. So, Russ, tell us a little bit about your involvement with, say, the Mystic Seaport and the Ocean House.
Yes, I specialize in painting yachts and yachting history and America's Cup races, and we've lived in Mystic for about 9 or 10 years now, I guess. And I have a little gallery, which is right on Main Street, but it's upstairs, so I don't get a whole lot of traffic.
Is that good, or is that...
Well, it's good and bad.
Yeah.
Because I'm not getting a lot of the fanny packers, who
is that what we
are having their picture taken under the Mystic Pizza sign.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No, don't get me wrong, I love tourists.
Yep.
But I wish I had more traffic. Yes. And, my gallery is full of my work, and I've been frustrated for a long time that because it's upstairs, I don't seem, to get as much traffic as I'd like. So, and during the Mystic Outdoor Art Festival weekend, I see all these thousands of people on the street, so I figured this year I'm going to move my gallery down onto the street. I'm very excited about doing it.
So we have a painting right behind you that is yours, but can we also show some of Russ's work? I am yelling at the producers. That's how it goes. So, Frank, can we see some of Russ's work that would be awesome. Anyway, here's an example.
Yes, this is a painting that I brought with me today. That's the schooner Mystic. And so I recreate these scenes. That's right out here in Fisher's Island Sound in 1928. And so I build models of these ships, and I pose people in costume, and I like to travel back in time through my paintings.
I like the sparkle there is amazing, because it looks like light, but it is actually white paint. I'm always fascinated by that.
That's right.
It's not like a trick of the senses.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
this
nice
one is a recreation of the New York Yacht Club in New London Harbor in 1911. And I researched what the weather was that night and the vessels that were in the cruise, and all the people are just sort of historical fiction, playing cards and drinking wine and enjoying this wonderful Gilded Age evening.
I can hear the music, really.
You know, thank you.
It does seem a little doomed too, for some reason. Is that because all the pictures of the Titanic look like this? Or?
Well, that's the same era,
Is it?
actually.
Okay.
Yeah. They said when the Titanic went down, it was effectively the end of the Gilded Age.
Oh.
And I'm very fascinated by that era, all of the big vessels, and nowadays they have super yachts also. They just didn't call them that back then. And yes, I show my work at the Maritime Gallery at Mystic Seaport. They have a couple of big exhibitions there every year. And I do a few painting events, plein air painting events. The Ocean House hosts me for an artist in residence program, as well as a number of other artists through the summer. So I'm going to be doing that a couple of times in September this year.
And you also have some work in the Spicer Mansion, yes?
I do. I have some work there. Prints, a couple of prints in the Spicer Mansion. In fact, one of those that we just saw on the monitor, which kind of fits that whole era, of opulence.
Now, I've been to Russ's studio, and what I love is the models, and I was wondering if that is part of an exhibit ever, or is it, because it seems like that's almost an artistic venture in itself, the models that you make, and with the little guys and the...
Yep, well, I don't really consider myself to be a model maker. The models are very simple. They're just cardboard and foam core, but they're taken from the original plans of a vessel that I'm about to paint. And I spend the time to make a little model so I can sort of fly around it and observe all of the lines instead of trying to work out all of that complicated geometry without having a model. And then I pose people in costume. When I know exactly where I want people in my painting, I'll get one of my friends to put on a captain's uniform or a sailor suit and pose for me. So
I would do that.
I would do that too.
Sure.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
So the process is a lot of fun, and I'm actually self-publishing a book that's coming out very shortly with all of my work, and then a couple of chapters on that process and how I like to paint.
So you don't paint from photographs, you actually paint from the idea and then put these models together and...
That's exactly right.
Okay.
When I'm painting a modern vessel, I'll consult photographs to get all the details right, but none of my paintings are based on any kind of single photography.
All right. Well, thank you. I'd love to look at your work. And do you know where you're going to be on Main Street?
I am. I think I'm right out in front of the Bank of America building.
Oh, right near your studio.
Yes, right down from my studio.
And you have a double booth this
I
year,
do. I
So he's coming out with a splash.
That's right.
This first year.
Yep, it'll be a lot of fun, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Well, good. Well, good luck to you.
Thank you.
And we'll come back to you. And, so Brett, I wanted to talk to you, of course, about your stuff. Now, you've been in the show almost 11 years, you said? 11 years, you
11
think?
or 12, yep.
That is fantastic.
Yes.
Now, Brett's work is not only of comic book style. Yes, he does
Yes.
comic books.
I'm a cartoonist mostly, but I also paint.
So tell us a little bit about the comic books.
Well, it's been a thing that I've always done since I was a kid. It's been my dream. I've always wanted to make my own comic books. I didn't really care about drawing other comic books. I just wanted to make my own comic books. So I've been doing that for a long time, and then I started doing it professionally in 2006, same year that I did the Mystic Show. And I've been doing 1 or 2 books every year, and I've got like 13 books out now. This show, I'll be having 2 out. I'll have a trade book of the Power Kids set, Volume 2, which is a collection of the last 5 books. Every book, big book, I put 5 into. So I have 10 of them out now. I'm currently working on book 11. And I also put out a book, which you're going to love. It's called The Interplanetary Adventures of U.S. Mail and Little Max.
Oh, my goodness.
Which I do have here, which is right
Now,
there.
why would you think that you did that one?
Well, it's funny because my day job, I'm a letter carrier for
Yes.
the post office, and I always thought that was a good play on words.
Now, when you were in the show last year, did people see you at their door and be like, wait a minute, I saw you on TV
I've
and I
had
had
a
no
couple
idea?
people say that they saw me on the show, yes.
Oh, good.
Yeah, and they were really surprised. because a lot of them don't recognize me.
Right. So a play on words, U.S. Mail.
U.S. Mail, M-A-L-E.
That's cute.
Yes.
And
which
then
is
there
the
are
main
people
character,
out there
yes.
that are like, oh my God, he's got a new book out. I mean, you've got a
Another
fan
book
following.
out? Yes, I do. I have fans that come to the show specifically just to get the next book. Power Kid got delayed because I was doing other things. So that will be out soon, but just not for the show. So I decided to throw something together so that there will still be a book, which is U.S. Mail. He's been in the other book, so I just combined his tales into one giant book.
And now we also have paintings.
I do.
Which we're going to look at a couple of those. So see, this seems like such a departure.
Yes, I like to do all different kinds of things. This is what I call RGB for red, green, blue. This was a 2 by 3 foot acrylic. And I just had this one at a show I did last month, and a lot of people said, how did I paint 3D? And I was like, well, I didn't. But it looks it, especially on the wall, it kind of pops out. Some of the reds pop out, the golds, the greens. And I've just been having fun.
Well, isn't that what 3D is a combination of those three things?
Yeah.
Or
Kind
the
of.
lack of something,
Kind
and then
of.
you have to have glasses in order to put it together?
Yep. And I also did some new ones too. This year I decided to do some flags. A lot of people said I should start doing some, so I did. There will be 3 flags for this show, and then there will be more later on. But I did this one, the Union Jack. This is again 2 by 3 feet, all done in acrylics. My style that I call acrylic fusion.
Acrylic fusion.
I also did the Old Glory, which is again 2 by 3 feet. And then what's not here on here now, but will be at the show, I also did the Jamaican flag. Because I'm always trying to find something that has a good design sense. And there's some flags that are really wild. So with the Union Jack, it was a lot of lines, and I had to be real patient with that because I did most of it with a knife. So I had to be really,
So that's all
accurate.
painting.
All painting.
It's not graphic design or anything like that. It's and the straight lines are all
straight lines
Goodness.
and acrylic paints. Yes.
So when you're working, when an idea comes to you, does it just come to you, or do you actually work a little bit and then
Both.
form it into something?
Both.
Yeah.
I'll sometimes come up with a really great idea for a book, and then by the time I start the book, it'll completely change. It's just what I'm going through at the time, and maybe that didn't work out well, so why don't I try this? I'm also going to have a set of 5 cartoon paintings at the show, and I'll give you the title, but it's called Dude Man, and it's loosely based on my dog, whose name is Dude. And I just thought it would be a really good idea to come up with something new, something out of this world. So swing by my booth, you'll see it there.
Is the Dude Man going to be at your booth?
Dude Man will not be there. He's too young,
Oh.
and it'll probably be too hot.
Yeah.
But you never know.
He's not a sick puppy, is he? That's the
He's
name of the
not a sick
studio.
puppy. He is the
Sick
most
Puppy Studios.
laid-back dog I've ever had.
Okay.
He is totally mellow. He doesn't even bark.
Wow.
Yeah, and he's a beagle.
So how old is he?
He just turned 1.
Oh,
Yeah, he's a cute dog.
that's a venture.
Yes, it is. He's fun though.
So we won't be seeing him, sorry to say, at the Mystic
probably
Outdoor Art
won't,
Festival.
no.
You can see Brett at the, and do you know where you are? Are you on Home
I'm in
Street
the,
still?
I am on Home Street in front of Puffin's, the same spot. They changed the numbers, but I'm in the same spot,
All right.
right by the flagpole.
All right. So you'll have
Good
some of the
spot.
same neighbors. And
Yep.
Great.
Swing on by and say hi.
And Susan, hello.
Hello.
Now, Susan did the honor of painting us the commemorative painting for the 60th anniversary of the Mystic Outdoor Art Festival. And Frank, if you could show us that one, that's the one that I brought in. That one is going into a drawing that we're doing. So she's donated her work to the Mystic Chamber of Commerce and to the Outdoor Art Festival.
Oh, nice.
And that is the Charles W. Morgan, yes?
Yes, that is.
Susan, can you tell us a little bit about this painting?
Well, what happened was Susette called me, and you don't say no to Susette for anything. And
Even when she's not here. We
even
don't
when
say
she's
no to
not
her.
here, I know she's here. But she asked if I would do something for the 60th, and having been here, I'll let the cat out of the bag for all those 60 years. I thought, well, what is the big, we always think of Mystic Seaport, building ships, whaling, maritime, and then we have Mystic fast forward now, which is becoming so much more, building on that maritime history. It's becoming a bit of a cultural hub with all the arts going on in one part of town particularly. The Mystic Art Show has gained so much traction, and people know it wherever you go, that it struck me that it's as simple a proposition as the old and new. So in the painting, I just tried to reflect on the powerful image of the maritime history and what it's done to make Mystic what it is today, and will continue to help us move forward as a very thriving, creative community. And couple that with the new kayaks, the Mystic River Park, all the new things that are coming in, and again building on that maritime history, but it's different.
There's so much on the river this summer.
Much on the river.
There's these little tiny boats, and there's other big boats, and it is really becoming a little bit more active. I think we have a welcome center on Greenmanville Avenue across from the Mystic Seaport Museum entrance, and we get a lot of visitors that come in that just say that they were driving on the highway and they just decided to stop. And they had no idea that Mystic existed. It is true that that could be possible, and they want to find out what's going on here. So it's not that it's been a secret, because I know that Mystic is one of the most recognized brands in Connecticut, but I think surrounding in Connecticut, I think people coming from Boston don't necessarily know. And I know that there are some people, some stores, for instance, downtown that would like to keep it that way, that would like to keep the old fashioned and not have any new, and not stay open late. And if you are watching this, you know who you are. I have said it again and again. Anyway. So there is a lot changing and a lot happening. Now, any one of you can answer this question. I'm wondering, do you find this town becoming more artistic or less? Because it feels like, would it have been an artist colony back in the day, a little bit more, or is it more artistic now, do you think?
I think it was back in the day, and then there was a long time where it wasn't. But I think it is becoming that again. There's so much art now, everywhere.
Yeah. I always say that there's galleries, restaurants
and galleries, yeah, and a lot of them
stores.
have artwork on the walls and stuff, and it's awesome.
And the area is a great draw for anyone that's inspired by natural beauty, by light, by color, by shapes, from the shape of boats to the shape of lobster buoys, the shape of shells to the shape of clouds. I mean, and the brilliant blues and the brilliant color here is and creativity spurs on more creativity and more growth. And I know more artists here. It seems like there's more and more people coming to the area.
I agree.
Either to see it and be part of this creative energy. There's more galleries. There's more opportunity.
How about you, Russ?
Well, I agree with Brett. Way back to the beginning of the Connecticut Impressionists, who started in Lyme at the turn of the last century. People would ride the train up from New York, and they would paint here at Miss Florence Griswold's house, and there's a wonderful museum there now. That was a real happening, and artists of that time were drawn to this place just like we are now. And I think there has been a renaissance. The Mystic Art Center, this is a real place where artists still congregate and get inspiration, like I do, from the surroundings. The first time I saw Mystic, I fell in love with it, and I just knew that it was going to be my muse, to tell you the truth.
Your muse. So
Yes.
that's a big word.
Well, that's a little word, but, but I feel that way. Just like so many people do. It's a real inspiration. We love this community.
Now, with progress and with building, for instance, the architecture of the downtown or the architecture of the seaport, when they built that new building, people were saying that was too new. So I'm wondering if there is a school that says that we should move forward and that we should have modern buildings here and that we should adapt some modern amenities. But would the charm go away, do you think, if we did that?
I think they complement one another. Again, I go back to that's growth, and and it comes from creativity. I think that being relevant in the time in which you live, to some degree, also creates a point of entry that people would come here that would perhaps not have come unless there was something like that new building at the seaport available as a point of entry for them to come to the area. And then, oh, by the way, they discover the charm of downtown, or the fact that it's a place for sport enthusiasts. You can kayak, or you can go boating. So a lot of times it doesn't matter exactly why you come to an area, but the fact that you came.
Mm-hmm. There's so many nooks and crannies here too. Oh, yeah. Like I just went to Noyes Village Boatyard, shout out. And I had no clue that it was there. And it is a big piece of property.
Yes, it is.
It is a nice piece of property. No, you guys are artists, like you've probably been there. Do you drive around and like look for inspiration?
I see inspiration around every corner.
Me too.
That's a beautiful spot. Yep. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I found that at the show, one of the great things about the show is the fact that there's no barrier between you and, it's a little different than a gallery or something more formal.
Right.
There's no barrier, you're just exchanging information. And so many people, because I paint a lot of local things, they have like an emotional experience when they see a place that, either a restaurant that meant something, or
or the Portuguese.
Or the Portuguese Club is a new painting this year that meant something. Art is whatever you see.
That's right.
And it's whatever it gives back to you, and it could be in the color, it could be in the place.
Mm-hmm. What lighthouse is that?
This is Race Rock off of Fisher's Island.
I just had some people in the Welcome Center asking about lighthouses, and that was their thing. That was like what they were doing here. But they were also just here for the afternoon. So they're like, we're chasing lighthouses.
In an afternoon.
On an afternoon. Well, get on a boat, and then you'll see like 6 or 7. So what I'm curious about too is choosing to be an artist, to make the leap and to really follow that path, because it can be intimidating, and there's a lot in our culture that says, well, you're not going to be successful, or that's not a way to make money, and which seems backward to me. So any one of you can comment on how that decision came to you, or is it not even a decision, it just has to be?
I don't think I chose art. I think art chose me. At a very young age. Right. I knew exactly what I wanted to do.
Wow.
And it took a long time. I mean, it wasn't easy, but
So did you say, I want to be an artist, and your parents were like, well, good luck with that? Or were they very encouraging?
Well, there is that thing where you're not going to make a lot of money, and it's a lot of work. It's a lot of hours. I've just spent like 8 hours a day at my desk. I was off for the last 2 days. I spent the entire time at my desk because I had work to do. So it's time consuming, but it's also my passion, and I couldn't imagine not doing it.
Now, something happens. I'm a writer and I sing, and I also teach improv. So something happens when I'm planning an improv class or when I'm writing that is like the zone. And is that what you're talking about?
I get into a zone, sure. Oh, yeah.
So Susan's nodding her head, yes.
Yeah, you're saying that. We were talking earlier that a lot of times it's what you think about what you did as a kid when you didn't have anything specific you were told to do, whether it was doodling, whether it was playing sports, whether it was reading. It could be anything. But that's what that's our zen. That's our place where we are operating at full creative potential as the person we are. And personally, I have painted into the night and not even realized I didn't stop to have lunch or dinner. I have put my paintbrush in my coffee cup, and you're just there, and you're almost sorry when you realize you really should go to bed.
Yeah.
But the hours are lost.
It's too bad you have to sleep.
Too bad you have to sleep.
Russ, you have that experience too?
We could get more done too.
Yeah, we could get more done if we didn't have to sleep.
There's no question that there is kind of a zone you get into, and the process for me is the most wonderful part of it. It's nice to produce something and people appreciate it and they respond to it. but the discovery that you're making while you're creating something, and the happy accidents that happen, and
The
oh
happy
boy, this is
accidents,
really
yeah.
turning out well.
Yeah.
You know, that's really part of the joy for me, and my process. I spend so much time on the preparation, as we discussed, that you know, when it really finally comes together, there's a tremendous payoff. And our stories are very similar. You know, I was in the newspaper business and the advertising agency business for decades, and I didn't really start painting seriously until my mid-40s. And, you know, I always say, once an artist, always an artist. It's never too late to pick up the brushes.
That's right.
Well, I was going to ask if you had any advice for any of the young artists out there, people just starting, or that might be, so that's a good one. Once an artist, always an artist. So do you guys have any advice for?
I would say persistence. Just continue doing what you want to do. Don't worry about anything else. Because you are going to get those that are not going to like it. Don't listen. Do what you want to do.
Right.
That is so true, because your art is number one for you.
That's right.
Because the primary thing is that it gives you joy and satisfaction, and as Russ said, the discovery of finding that right color, or I love the happy accident, because we all have them, and then lo and behold, it works.
It does.
But just stay at it, because it is,
Yep.
an art teacher once said, if you're meant for it, God's in your paintbrush, you know, and it will come.
So if we could look at all the paintings that we have of our artists. Now you're all very different, and just...
And I think that's great. I think because at this show there's so many different kinds of art, you're going to find something that you like.
Right, as an art lover.
Or that you didn't even know you liked.
Exactly, right.
Because you didn't, right.
Yep.
That's the beauty, is the diversity of art forms at this show.
That's right.
No, what I love is that when you are an artist, do you know when it's done, or do you go overboard and then you're like, dang, it's ruined? Does anybody have an answer?
Sometimes
for that?
there's that fine line.
Yeah, I will announce that I have finished a painting to my family, and then the next day I'm right back working on it again. Because you always find something.
You always find something
that you'd like to
even the
improve.
littlest thing. You're like, oh, I forgot that.
That's right.
Now, George Lucas, as an artist who did Star Wars, he was able to go back 10 years later, 20 years later, and he came out with the movies again. So it's like they're never done.
That's right.
They could never be done. Well, we are just about out of time. I could do 3 more shows, each of you on a show. So I really thank you for sharing the stage with us today and sharing your muse and your art. And please come to Mystic Outdoor Art Festival, August 12th and 13th, to see our artists, Russ Kramer, Susan Noyes, Brett Swanson, or perhaps you live on Main Street and Brett will deliver your mail for you.
You
The
never know.
most talented mailman ever.
That's true.
Right? Well done. Anyway, and we can join us next week. We're going to talk to the Mystic Jet Center. They get all kinds of famous people flying into the area, and they'll give you the scoop on that. And until then, I'm Kristin Hartnett from Greater Mystic Chamber of Commerce, Mystic Matters. Good evening.